Hi, everybody. I just got back from a really cool thing. We went to a water park, and I haven't been to a water park. I hate saying it a lot because it kind of, and yes, I'm bad at it. I thought I'd bring it up. I went to a water park today, and that was kind of fun. I am currently making very good seasoned chicken. I've got into this habit of where I cook. So that way, when I come home from work, when I start picking up shifts, I can have a home cooked meal. I have hypoglycemia, and sometimes my blood sugar will drop a lot during the day. So I figured I'd start cooking and just have a home cooked meal. So that way, it won't drop. My blood sugar won't drop when I'm going to bed, because then I get really nasty vertigo. And my endocrinologist brought up an interesting fact that I didn't realize. Like if you're hypoglycemic and you have a tendency to have really bad fainting spells and whatnot, eating a lot of proteins and stuff, and a lot of more like meats and stuff like that, that'll kind of keep it from dropping. But that's not the part of this video that we're talking about. Not even me being little, and when I'm home, I'm baby. One of my family members, my sister, we only just became family about a month ago. Maybe two, I lost count. No, it was about a month ago. And she innocently asked me enough, why did I choose to be a girl? And with Pride coming up, I thought I might cover this. A little bit about, I'm talking about my transition. Sorry, I know I have a speech impediment. Sometimes I stutter. I slur my words sometimes. And yeah, it's because of the MS relapse. It's a little bit of the after effect. I knew I was a girl at 6 years old. Nobody told me that. Nobody said, you are a girl. You might be trans. You have to be trans. Nobody groomed me. That's really honestly not how it works. I don't know who started that rumor, but that is not how people become trans. And I didn't really become trans. I just knew I was a girl. And the way I grew up, I grew up in the system. And when you're trans, and if you're autistic, and you're in group homes and stuff, the people in charge of those places tend not to listen. But I knew I was a girl at 6 years old. And growing up in the state, I wasn't even allowed to be trans. But I didn't even know the word trans until I was at least, I want to say 16, maybe 17, because somebody in high school mentioned it once. I think it was in high school. It might have been middle school. I can't remember that. But I realized this might be who I was. And keep in mind, this was back in the early 90s. I was in a group home. I didn't have access to internet. I didn't really have even my first porn until I was 16, maybe 17. And I just realized I'm not a boy. I knew it. I knew at 6 years old I'm not a boy. And something isn't right. I knew I had a certain anatomy that a boy has. I knew at the time I really looked like a boy. And this is up in your interpretation. Usually I kind of pass. I hate that word pass, by the way. It kind of feels gatekeepy to me anyways. Maybe it doesn't feel gatekeepy to you, but it feels gatekeepy to me. I'm gonna say I blend pretty well. But as a kid, it's like I did not look like a girl, but I knew I was a girl. I couldn't really explain it to anybody. Then around 16 or 17 in high school, I heard somebody mention it, and then I'm like, I asked around. I think I asked maybe a couple of staff members. I asked a group home staff member what that could be, and they mentioned it. Definitely a state worker mentioned it, and I realized that's me. But because I was in group homes, I wasn't allowed to be who I am. In fact, I got punished for even being a little feminine. They had forced me to cut my hair on several occasions. If I so much as acted like a girl, I got punished for it. Nobody told me nobody told me I was a girl. But because I was in state care, I heard every excuse that you could think of. I couldn't possibly know I was a girl because I'm autistic. I had staff members in a group home. Even though I aged out of group homes, I was back in group homes in my 30s because I'm trans. Yeah, because I'm trans, I was forced back into group homes by the state. Because at the time, I was in between jobs and I was trans, and they decided lock her away and hide her away. I never really identified as a boy. I was not trying to be a girl. I just knew. I've had staff members tell me that you can't be trans because it's just you only think you're a girl because you're autistic. And honestly, I've never seen anything that kind of even suggests that gender identity and being autistic is just the same thing. It's not a symptom of being autistic. I just knew. I'm not trans to prey on anybody. I have social anxiety, which is kind of why I'm a little, but it's mostly because people have been horrible to me. I don't hurt anybody. I'm one of the nicest people you'll meet. But growing up, I wasn't allowed to identify as a girl. I was told that right off the bat. I was threatened by group homes. Staff members would say things like, they would call me, they would call me I really don't want to say this. They would call me a faggot. They would call me gay. They'd be like, if you tried to be like a boy, you wouldn't get picked on. You wouldn't get teased. Staff members would say that to me. I got punched in the face for being trans by kids in the group homes. I was assaulted, and they let it go because I'm trans. My first, I tried dating guys in the past in the group homes, and I got punished for it. I shit you not, the first time I had a girlfriend, I had to be like maybe 14, maybe 15. I was like, this kind of feels better than being with a boy. They encouraged it, but if I told them I'm still a girl, but I'm attracted to girls, they would have fucking torn me apart. Yeah, even the people in charge of the group homes would punish me for being a girl. And for a while, I got really depressed, and I just kind of didn't tell anybody I was a girl. But if you would ask me, even when I was 6 years old, if you had walked up to me and asked me if I was a girl, I would have said yes, because that's who I am. As I got older, I heard things like, you wouldn't make a pretty girl. No, I was told that I would look ugly as a woman. And look at me. Granted, I'm not exactly super modelish, but I kind of think I'm cute. I was made to feel unsafe because I'm trans. I am not a girl to prey on anybody. I never was. I was never trying to prey on anybody. In fact, as I was growing up, and right up until my mid-30s, whenever I would try to come out about being trans, I was harassed by staff members from state care, from my parents, and I kid you not. Today, my dad, I suspect that he really did know that I'm trans and that I'm really a girl, because my dad is very quick to pick up on stuff. He knew. And one time he even did try to see me. He accidentally saw me being my authentic self. I'm pretty sure he even saw me patted once, but didn't say anything because he got that quiet, cool thing going on. And I think he had a conversation with my stepmom when we were in the car, and my mom turns around and looks at me like this and like, you're a boy, right? I didn't acknowledge it. I'm just like, okay. And I just got out of the car. Like, even my own parents wanted me to be a boy. I was not a boy. I fought tooth and nail for it. And for most of my life, like I said, from 6 to, we're going to say 33, maybe 34. if I tried to even suggest that I might be a girl, I was bullied for it and harassed for it and abused for it. And one day, I did something not very nice to myself, and I got really depressed. I stopped eating for about a month, and I was tired. And I had this realization that if I didn't transition, if I didn't really live my authentic self, I don't think I'd be here today. Fast forward to about 2000. Fast forward to about maybe 30. No, I was 31 when I decided if I didn't transition, if I didn't start being the woman I know I am, I wasn't gonna live much longer. Fast forward to about 2013. No, I might have been 33, maybe 34, when I bit the bullet and said, "This is who I am." About 2 years before that, I was harassed by my stepbrother when I was living with my with my stepmom and my dad and my stepbrother. My stepbrother had, behind my parents' back, threatened me, told me I was evil, that I was a demon, that I was going to hell, and said he would never be able to accept me. And it got to a point where I felt unsafe to live there. I went to visit my grandma for a Mother's Day thing, and I had come back. My stepmother doesn't know that I heard her saying this stuff. And she said that he just does whatever he wants. And sure enough, it was because my grandmother was very transphobic. I never hated her, but she never really accepted me. And that's my grandmother from my dad's side. My grandmother from my mom's side is thrilled that she has another granddaughter. And the fact that after a few hormones for a few years, I ended up looking like her. I ended up looking like my mother. And I bet right now, if my grandma could see me, she would think that's awesome that I look like my mom. And I kind of act like her too. I do. I have her temper, but it's kind of cool. And but yeah, when my grandma Mook had told my dad and my stepmom, and you let him, I hate being called him, but she was like, you let him dress like that and stuff like that. I had my nails painted. I was very feminine. Again, I never really hid the fact that I was a girl. Even then, if you would ask me, I would tell you, yeah, I'm a girl. And at that point, my stepmother freaked out, and I was pretty much all but kicked out of her house. So I said, if I'm feeling that unsafe, I shouldn't be here. So up in the middle of the night, I left. I was homeless for like a month and a half. Hadn't slept for almost a month. Apartments at first were willing to take me in, but I have a feeling that while they wouldn't say it, they would turn me down because I was trans. I had money. I had a fairly good rental history, but they just turned me away for seemingly no reason whatsoever. And at one point, my situation had become desperate. I was forced to live as a boy to feel like I could stay with my stepmom and my dad again because I didn't know what else to do. And again, by the way, every time I tried to live as a boy, I just mirrored whatever other gut men in my life were doing. It didn't look authentic. It looked like the worst fucking acting you have ever fucking seen. And I'm a good actress. Even my sister, and yeah, I'm not going to mention her name, but last month she said, you basically are a method actress. She called me a method actress, and I didn't realize what type of acting I do. And I'm like, well, thank you. But yeah, I just did whatever the guys around me were doing, and it didn't look real. But I shit you not, when I decided I couldn't do it anymore, I couldn't pretend to be a boy anymore, because it was emotionally and physically doing more harm to me than anything else did, it's like everything got lifted off and it's felt more natural. I feel that much better because I'm a woman. And it was the hardest thing I did. I've lost friends, I've lost family. I was alone for a long time. And when I had fought for years to get on hormones, by the way. I only recently got on them back in 2018. I had dated this. I was friends with this one person. I was a live-in nanny / pet sitter for her and housekeeper, and she had been on hormones for a long time. And she said, "I'm going to help point you in the right direction." And this is why I don't hate that girl ever, because while she did some horrible things, that is the one thing she did right, and I will always be in her debt for that. And I talked to the endocrinologist that she would see for. I talked to a therapist that she was taught to get on hormones, and I'm not going to say what went on in the conversation, but I felt validated to a point where I was crying. I was happy. I felt like I was heard. And I'll never forget. I had got by the third appointment, I had got an approval letter, and I saw my first endocrinologist. They did all the medical stuff, made sure my heart was okay and whatnot, made sure that I was physically capable for it. I was a bit underweight. I have an eating disorder that I struggle with sometimes, and I was skinny, but they got it figured out. And March 2018, right around my birthday, I think, around my birthday in March 2018, I got approved for hormones, and that same week, I started taking estradiol and spironolactone. And for once in my life, I was genuinely happy. I was couch surfing, I was in between apartments, but I was genuinely happy. And after that, it felt like a giant fucking weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I had fought like hell to be a girl, to be the woman I am, because I didn't know what else to be. I didn't know how to be anything else but me. And to this day, there's still a lot of misinformation about trans people. And I'm going to get to that right quick here. No, trans people are not preying on anybody in the bathrooms. It's just not happening. People are, a lot of folks are hardwired to believe that because of people making up bullshit about us. We're not trying to trans your kids. I'm going to say this now because I think that a lot of people don't realize this. If your kid tells you that they are trans, at least try to consider supporting them. It's not right that they don't get the chance to be happy. If I had been able to at least get on puberty blockers when I was a kid, to be able to live as a girl, even then, I probably wouldn't be depressed. I probably wouldn't hate myself or hated myself when I was younger. I possibly wouldn't even be a little, but that's another story. But yeah, we're also not sitting there and trying to take anything away from cis women. It's kind of simple. We're just trying to exist. Also, being trans is not the same thing as being gay. I tried for fucking 15 years to be a gay man. That felt like I was basically wearing a mask and a costume pretending to be a gay man. And it didn't fit. And there is a little bit of truth that gay men think the same way as women do. And I do kind of notice the similarities, but it's kind of like there's a cutoff point. Yeah, there is. But it's just, and the reason is because trans women are women. Sure, we have some things in common with gay men. A lot of women have things in common with gay men. Actually, it's kind of funny because, like I said, being trans is not the same thing as being gay. Gender identity and sexuality are two completely different stories. I realized I definitely wasn't a straight girl at 16. And yeah, part of it was because I was forced to grow up around boys. And picture this, you're a girl. Nobody believes you're a girl, and you're forced to grow up around boys. A big part of that's going to kind of get you turning away from men completely. But yeah, that wasn't what kind of convinced me. I'm just like, I would look at these movies and shows and stuff. I'd look at a girl and be like, I can't tell if I want to be like her or if I want to make out with her. I'm like, holy crap, I'm definitely not a straight girl. And when you're 16, those, yeah. By the way, if you're wondering, I did my own voice training since I was like, I had to be like 15 when I started voice training because I really got into acting. And if I try to do a guy voice, here's how it's going to sound. This is literally how I could sound as a guy, and it is basically it doesn't sound like a boy doing a girl's voice? It does, doesn't it? See, you were thinking the same thing I was thinking. This is going to be off the hook. I'm one of those white chicks that will season her chicken. Look at this bastard. But anyways, I was one of the. If I tried to do a guy voice now, it literally just sounds like a girl trying to do a boy voice, and just that's how good I got. And I've got accused of being a cross-dresser when I was younger, and it's just like, no. How can people just? I'll tell people I'm a girl, and they completely missed the mark. But I still wasn't done learning. About 2020. No, it was towards the end of 2020. Actually, I think it was around this time of year. I had what turned out to be a really bad MS relapse triggered by massive malnourishment and severe heat stroke. And at first, they thought I had a stroke because I couldn't move and I couldn't speak. Then they, after at least several other neurology appointments and some half-assed doctors who just focused on me being in a wheelchair because I broke my back, they wouldn't see me. But several appointments later, they decided it was ALS. It wasn't ALS. Which, by the way, I'm just supposed to sound. MS is multiple sclerosis. ALS is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. And last year, my doctors realized she seems to be getting better. Maybe it was just the MS relapse. And then about this December, December of last year, I started getting used to my legs back. I started getting used to my voice back about a year ago, back in February of 2024. I finally got my voice back. And even then, somehow it just went back to that feminine voice. And it's just like, I think it's because when you exercise that long, that muscle's there. And that's kind of how the vocal cords work. What I did does not work for everybody. The fact that I trained so early on with my voice that's why it works so well. And when I was in the nursing home, I was definitely discriminated against. I was forced to go by John on my little name tag, and that was okay. So basically, this would be your room would be here, but your name tag would be here. And the last 2 years, they had forcibly taken the Jane down and put up John. I was misgendered several times. I'm a RAPE survivor, and I was forced to shower with boys, and it would bring me to tears, and I would have panic attacks to a point where I said, okay, just give me towels and I will do I wasn't going to call it a horse bath in the bathrooms there, but I gave myself showers in my sink. And it sucked. By the way, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little off topic, but I have this. I have my own shower. That was one of the perks of getting my own apartment. I could take as long as I went. And no, I do not get dysphoria when I take a shower because I have these. I am so happy that I have boobs. Even though they're itty bitty titty committee boobs, it's still very, but yeah, anyways. That nursing home, they were very transphobic. I had been informed by my insurance that my caseworker had tried to force me into a group home behind my back, but they said no because I'm trans. That's right. If you're disabled and you're trans, you're still going to get discriminated against. We're not trying to hurt anybody. We're just trying to exist. At least I'm trying to exist. I'm not out there hurting anybody. If you're a cis woman and you see me in the bathroom with you, if anything, what I'd really appreciate is you trying to stick up for me because I'm just trying to pee. Well, actually, no. I'm usually in a diaper. So if I'm in there, it's usually because I got a little sick to my stomach and I'm trying to... But I have really bad anxiety and I keep worrying that somebody's going to hurt me if I go in that bathroom. So if you're cis and you see me in the bathroom, or if you see a trans woman in there, especially if she's looking really scared, if you wanted to be a really good person about it, stick up for us. You see us getting harassed, call bullshit. Stick by us. Make sure we're okay. You have no idea how much you're going to be making a huge difference. And just if you have and again, this is the last video because it's getting long. If you have trans friends, or if you have a family member who's trans, please stick up for them. Show them that you support them. Be better than the TERFs and the transphobes and stuff. Look out for us. Right now, we need it more than ever before. And listen to a trans person. Listen to their story. Don't judge. Just keep an open mind and an open heart. And if you have a trans kid, if they tell you that they're trans, or if they tell you they're a boy or they're a girl or they're non-binary, the best thing you can do is be supportive. He hasn't officially let me call him it, but I do kind of feel like a mom now to my fiance's son. It kind of feels like that to me, and I kind of hope that he'll one day call me that. And now that I guess I am a parent, and I feel like a mom, and I kind of am in some ways, I think it's kind of like if you really want your kids to succeed in life, you have to be there for them. You have to get past your own judgments, your own opinions, your own personal beliefs. Listen to your kid and let them be who they are. Love your kid. And for the people that are really religious, and for Christians and stuff like that, and people that follow the Bible, I can tell you this much right now. Love thy neighbor does not say pick and choose what you love about your neighbor. The whole love the sin but hate the sinner, the moment that you have to put hate into the sentence, especially about family, then that's not love. When you love and support somebody, especially your kids, you love your kid. So, happy Pride. Remember, every letter in that alphabet, and that umbrella matters. Fight for us. Stick up for us. Love us and support us. That's going to make the biggest difference. If everybody started supporting trans people and really been there for us and was willing to learn, I guarantee you the world would change for the better. Happy Pride. I love you guys. And in my opinion, kink will always belong at Pride because at one point people would have accused trans people of being a kink. All right. You guys are awesome. I'm smelling that chicken, and even though I just ate dinner, it's making me hungry as fuck. All right, catch you later. Mwah, mwah. Again, I'll drop my Cash App if you want to help me, and if not, you don't have to. This was mostly for me. I need to post this for me. If you have any questions about my journey as not just a trans woman, not just a lesbian, but just my life, please drop a question. I'll even make a video to your question. You're awesome. Never stop being awesome. Yeah, I'm excited because I get to go to work soon. My new job's going to be awesome. I'm going to make a video about that too. And if my boss is seeing this, hi! You are awesome. You are cool. I love you guys. You guys, everybody that follows me, everybody in my life, you are awesome. I want you in my life. So thank you. Bye.